and good afternoon or good evening, wherever you may be, and whether you're watching live or archived. And welcome to a really rocky start to Transmission Talk Tuesday. In the interim, in the long stretch, but since our last webinar, the host that we use has decided to reload everything, revamped, and we've got this Zoom-looking interface that is not a Zoom interface. So I'm here. I believe that we've got Mr. Disembodied voice, Ed Sylvester in the background.
I am here as well.
And our main guest, Mr. Detweiler, is in the middle of trying to log in through a different mode because it did not play nice. This may end up being the Jeff and Ed show, which will be less entertaining, but maybe more entertaining because at that point, all bets are off with respect to exactly how we make this work or not work.
I think I can guarantee that it'll be less entertaining.
The good thing is I do see several people logged in. I see Jeff's wife's made it in, so we may end up unmuting Donna and just have her dictate his part of the session totally. But so the where this all started, and it's one of those things where you see a post, and these days as we all get more chronologically advanced, you see them more and more, where you see a post and say, I got an email in this case that said, hey, just so you know, this guy's planning on retiring. And it's like, wait a second, I've talked to this guy more than once. We should have a discussion about that. So that's pretty much where we're at. Like I say, folks know that it's been really, really busy, and I've been doing a terrible job at keeping up on the webinars, so I apologize to everybody for that. Hopefully we'll be able to, hopefully will be the beginning of, probably going to be a monthly thing, not a weekly thing by any stretch. If for no other reason, then nobody should have to listen to me that often. Ask my wife. Now, that said, let's flip forward to a few of the, I moved some screens around too. Like I said, new interface, so this is a learning curve. This is going to be the inaugural launch, and it's going to be sketchy and scary. However, I've got to update this picture. You do have an interface. You do have the ability to click on the question button. It does not look like what you see on the screen anymore. Again, we found all of this stuff out minutes ago. Elaine says that Windows 11 stinks. She had to reboot her computer to join this thing. Elaine, same. Fortunately, when I rebooted, it did work, but it definitely wasn't as clean and shiny as I expected. You know, so maybe we'll move to Teams or Zoom, or we'll get this all sorted out one way or the other. If we get a webinar going, don't forget to jot it down in whatever you use for your SBE recertification points, and we'll try to make it at least somewhat educational. Oh, Bob found the question button. So for those who don't know, and we'll be talking about it at some point in the down the road part, but one of the things Jeff is known for is 25 years with Xperi, and he's been doing a whole pile of things over the years. But the reason I brought Bob up, oh, I see his face. You got voice, and he still has no voice. Now, fortunately, being a radio guy, he probably is not using the cuss words into the mic just in case it starts working. I'll say them for him. But yeah, so where I was going with this, Jeff spent 25 years with Xperi, and in the process of doing that, he taught me a whole lot of stuff. And we'll show some pictures and tell some stories. And if he can't get his mic working, we'll tell them about him instead of with him, and that might be even more entertaining. But that's today's interesting challenge. I'm going to ask. I'm seeing a lot of folks. Again, new interface. So Bob, I'm going to pick on you because I know you found the question button. but I see a little exclamation mark appearing by your name and disappearing. Is this all coming through nice and clean? So we'll ask Bob that question in the questions. By the way, where I was going with the HD comment, Bob and I got to spend a week and a half ago. I say together, I spent it at his transmitter site while he was on the air. But we were putting HD on in Adams, Wisconsin, and they are, so John White is probably shivering in his shoes right now, but they are the inaugural release of the production version of the AirChain audio. I sound a little hollow. Well, Bob, that's too much time in Wisconsin and not enough cookies from Austin, but that's a different discussion. Let's see, Cole, since the old interface wasn't a problem, why did you fix it? That's the challenge. We don't control the interface at all. This is go to a webinar and yeah, fixing it because. I see Joe I see a whole bunch of people on here. So Jeff, you've got a fan club. Now all we need to do is get you being able to make sound. I've tried 3 different mics on this end, and this was the one that Ed liked the best. So we're going to blame him, Bob. But yeah, hollow is the right word. All righty. So let's see. Elaine says the audio settings in the new GoToWebinar app are goofy. It might be trying to use the wrong microphone. Yeah, we did run through that, but it very much is a possibility. Let's see, we covered the interface. I see most of you are finding the question button, so this is going to be good. At the very least, we'll be telling stories about Jeff while he sits there. This might end up being the Jeff Detweiler celebrity roast, if you know what I mean. And we'll start now. I see you got a phone icon there. Try voice now, Jeff.
I'll try. So hopefully you can at least hear me now.
Yeah,
all right.
You are there. So I'm going to rely on,
let's see, studio.
Yeah, so Elaine says bring out the marshmallows.
So everyone basically forget everything Jeff Welton said for the last 10 minutes.
It's all true. It's all true.
Well, your wife is providing tech support in here and says go to mic and use the drop down to change mic input. But yeah, so the phone in is working, so we'll stick with that. And you worked it out well.
I did try that.
You missed the incredibly boring preamble. I'll just have to remember that we're in half duplex mode.
I did get most of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, that was the part of me trying to fill time and not stutter over myself too badly. So you've been doing this for a hot minute. I mean, I've known you for probably 30 years, going back to a little bit before Xperi days. But you've been doing this since I was a teenager, and maybe a little before. And you look so much younger than me, so I'm feeling kind of bad now.
I always hope to be as fit and trim as you've been lately. So you know, all good. But yeah, I started back. I guess it was my first radio gig was probably in 1979 at WSUS in Franklin, New Jersey. Was doing mornings, and I picked up the engineering responsibilities there as the engineer for the station left. And I think SUS is now an iHeart station, so it's
yep. And in the process of doing show prep, I did look that up. But so this is how you can tell a radio guy, because he sent me, in addition to the pictures, which show why we all belong on the air instead of in front of a camera, but he sent me a big long sheet of show prep, which I do dutifully have taped in front of me. So I'll ignore that like I ignore all my other notes, but I've done my job. It's there.
Fair enough. I enjoyed your comment that you had that same striped velour shirt I had in the one picture there in front of the rack of 45s.
The colors may have been slightly different, but the fashion didn't change. Tracy Teagarden says, "How are the Detweilers? I only get to see you in April these days." So that's what this is going to end up being. It's going to be everybody. And Elaine's known you and Donna for a very long time. Now, hopefully is. Go ahead.
I was going to say we've been friends with the crew for a long time. I guess Elaine and Donna worked together many years ago when she was with Davicom, and I've known Elaine, back to my Allied broadcast days when I was the Northeast sales engineer running around between New York, Philadelphia, and DC, and lots of fun.
And it's one of those. So you left New Jersey and went from there to Ohio.
It's even worse than that. It's much worse than that. So I was in Princeton, New Jersey at WHWH and WPST, which was a Nassau Broadcasting Group at that time, owned by Herb Hobler and Johnny Morris. And I was in the middle of a directional antenna rebuild. We did a 6-tower. It was a 4-tower rhombic during the day and an inline shotgun at night. And had a couple of negative towers in there, so it was lots of fun. And in the middle of that build, brought on a new guy by the name of Brian Tonneson, and I understand you got an email from Brian early on in this, and I did have a little fun when Brian showed up for the first day of work out at the transmitter site. He pulled in, and I walked up to him and threw him a set of keys and waved goodbye and drove off. And I did come back about a half an hour later, but I don't think he appreciated that, but it was a good introduction to get him used to the stress, and we had a lot of fun rebuilding that directional array. Worked with Bob Steiger and Jack Hooray and Charles Gallagher on that. I don't know if you know any of those guys, but they were a great help, particularly in dealing with that array and bringing it in. Learned to rope through in the area, and had lots of fun.
Now, Brian is, for what it's worth, in the audience right now, and he did make a comment, hey, Jeff and Donna. So he's listening. Brian, if you've got a mic, you might try. Let me see if I have the ability to.
I tried unmuting at this end.
There you go.
That worked. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Brian.
And Jeff.
How are you, man?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I'm trying to get used to this idea of retirement. I think, after, I guess it's been 47 years or so, the idea of not having a daily job is going to be strange. But
you'll miss it. You're going to miss it.
Yeah, I will.
I think you already missed transmitter work.
That I do. We had lots of fun out in Princeton at the site in Hopewell, New Jersey, and we got to play around with AM stereo for many years. I think you were there for all 3 variants, as I recall. And finally,
yes, sir.
Finally replaced the array, and things worked out really well on 1350 out there. So that was lots of fun.
It was fun. And I have to tell you that story about you quitting on me in the first minute that I met you, I've told that story 1,000 times. Like, you won't believe this a-hole that I met one time. Oh, you've heard of Jeff Detweiler before? Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you. It was memorable. And what a great way to start a friendship. Then we went to Cleveland together.
We did. So as part of this story, Bob Steiger and Jack Hooray, who were consultants on the array rebuild, recommended me for a position at 3WE and WDOK in Cleveland. And I put on my selling shoes and I talked to Donna and I said, hey, I've got this opportunity in Cleveland, working for a radio group owned by Art Modell and Al Lerner, who owned the Cleveland Browns. And I said, tell you what, let's get married and move to Cleveland. And this was late November. And so we got married on December 8th and headed off to Cleveland in the middle of winter. And I think we were greeted by about 28 inches of snow, as I recall, back in 1985. So we're just celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. So it's been an exciting couple of weeks here.
Oh, congratulations all the way around, both you and Donna.
It's sympathy for her, but the best decision I ever made was to marry Donna. So she's a great resource, a wonderful life partner, as well as a colleague. For those who don't know, Donna works at Xperi with me, and pretty much anything that's gone well, it can be credited to her. So
that's pretty much what my wife says about us too. It's like, yeah, if it worked, it was probably her, and I'll agree 100%. I'm going to skip ahead a decade or three. Now, we did miss something, I think, according to your bio, in between SUS and, or maybe I've got that out. Yeah, between you were working with Continental for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Actually, both Donna and I did. We worked for Keith Leach, who was the Northeast sales engineer for Continental at the time. Actually, he was with Collins originally and then Continental. And Dave Huff, Steve Jackson, Carl Covington, and myself were a company called Broadcast Service Company, where we pretty much did most of the Continental installs that Keith sold. And it included a couple of famous stations like WPIX in New York and DLS, I think WLIR, and a couple of stations owned by, let's see, who owned them? Merv Griffin had stations up in Pennsylvania that we worked at. So we did a bunch of contract work around the area, cut my teeth learning how to do transmitter installs and studio builds. And it was a great time. And Donna was the office manager for the group, so that's where we first met. And just, that's pretty much it on the details there. Now, there is something about that slide you have up there in the upper right-hand corner. Coming off of the famous WKRP in Cincinnati turkey drop, this was the equivalent in my life, and it was called Balloon Fest. And Balloon Fest was a record balloon release while I was at 3WE in Cleveland, and it was done to benefit the United Way and to raise money. Well, unbeknownst to us at the time, the balloons all landed into Lake Erie, and they were searching for two missing boaters at the time. And balloons look very much like somebody's life jacket and head in the water, and unfortunately, they never found them until much later. So that turned into quite a disaster and a political nightmare, as you might have expected. So,
and it's what do they say? Best laid plans, so to speak. And you also, and somebody had mentioned that in the advanced questions, you had a stint with a different, as opposed to CEC, Continental Electronics, a different three-letter corporation, QEI.
I did. I spent 11 years with QEI Corporation. I was in product development and then ultimately in sales. And that was, I guess, one of the major shifts of my life, where I moved from actually doing real work to sales. And I don't mean anything by it. It is a much better life.
It's a much different life.
It is.
The phone doesn't ring at 3 a.m. There's that.
Yeah, I do remember when I was at WPST. We were in Ocean City, New Jersey for I think it was an anniversary dinner, Donna and I, and my pager went off, and she took the pager off my belt and threw it into the bay, and I remember it kind of squealed as it went in. So I think Donna was pretty happy that I changed that role in my life at one point. But and then the picture that's up there, I think on the screen, I don't know if it built completely, is Eric Johnson, who's in the Philadelphia market now, and he was program director for, I think it was MGK for a while. Anyway, lots of good times in the Princeton and Philadelphia market.
So you've covered a good chunk of the Northeast.
Yeah, either in sales or in engineering, and enjoyed all of it. The Northeast broadcast engineering community is fabulous, and love them all. Miss them. I don't get to see them too much except out at the shows. And speaking of seeing people at the shows, I have to give props to Tracy Teagarden. That guy has been the hardest working man in radio for I don't know how many years, and he is always come to our aid anytime we need a demo in Las Vegas, and has been just tremendous as far as a resource to Xperi and HD radio.
Yeah. Tracy, if you've got a mic, you're more than welcome to unmute it and poke back at the old guy too, seeing as he's fair game for the next couple of minutes.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed every one of those demos, even the really weird ones. And we did do some weird ones. I always enjoy seeing you and Donna, always. So thanks.
Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for all your help over all these years, and your friendship, and your shared love of motorcycles.
Now, I do have one photo in here that this was the only one that I couldn't figure out the date on from looking at the picture. So I'm going to let you talk to this one.
Is it the one on the right? The screen didn't build completely for me, so I think it's WYNY.
100% correct. Yeah.
All right, that's Mark Okowski, and there's somebody else in the picture, and I don't remember who it was, which I'm embarrassed to say, but I've been friends with Mark for many years, and so it was a fun time. Probably one of the transmitter site rebuilds, I think, where that was heading, and always enjoyed doing that work with them.
And before we get too far into this, I'm going to give a shout out to another old dude that recently retired. Wendell Lonergan, our former director of broadcast sales, he attended today too. So I know you and Wendell have played together over a few different countries.
We have. Wendell, welcome.
Now, whether or not he wants to unmute, that's up to him. I'll keep an eye on the mic icon. But so we've covered the first half of your career in a whopping 15 or 20 minutes, and I know it felt like a whole lot longer. But so you were talking the transition to sales, and I know I've been doing sales since 2007, so almost 20 years for me. And a week and a half ago, I was doing a factory upgrade on a transmitter. So the question to you, do you still get to play with transmitters at all, or are you 100% office bound?
I have gone cold turkey, but I did enjoy playing with it. You know, there were a number of things that were innovations at QEI for me. When I joined the company, we were looking at how do we find our place in the industry. Being a very small transmitter manufacturer, one of the first things we did, I think, was build exciters for Nautel. the 695 exciter before you guys had the your own Maestro, and I forget some of the other models. We were a supplier of 695 exciters, which was a pretty good solid state exciter in its day. It had a number of features that made it useful, and so that's when I first really got to know the folks at Nautel and appreciate you guys for your engineering capabilities and just being fabulous people to work with.
And that one, I know the original FM series, and this would have been before, I want to say the N50 was our first, but I could be wrong. It's amazing, like you said earlier, it kind of all gets a little blurry sometimes. And then not too terribly long after that picture, you made the move just a little further down I-95 and ended up with this group of folks. And this is the HD radio, and I see Russ Munshank in the middle. So next time you're talking to him, ask him to tell you his Harry Larkin story.
Does it involve a velvet rope?
It did, as a matter of fact, yeah. And somehow I got home, but I don't know how.
Oh my. Well, yeah. So there's a couple of things in between there. Probably a lot of people who are on this call met me for the first time when we brought a product out called CatLink, which was a composite audio transmission link using a T1 circuit. And it kind of became the hot setup for a number of years for the major market guys who wanted to have processing back at the studio and be able to have all of the complete benefits of a composite link to the transmitter site without overshooting and all kinds of problems. So I met most of you probably early on through that and remained friends with you for many years. So I guess it worked well for the most part. And but the other part of my career at QEI that led to then USA Digital Radio was the development of one of the prototype IPAs and transmitters for amplifying the OFDM waveform for what was then called IDAB. IDAB. And IDAB was replaced with HD Radio after a merger of USA Digital Radio and Lucent Digital Radio. It was kind of all rebranded as HD Radio under the company name Ubiquity Digital. And so I had just joined the company, and about a month later, we go through the merger, and I'm thinking, boy, am I going to make it out the other side of this? And but fortunately, 25 years later here, I'm still here, and it's been a fun run. In that room, there's a bunch of great people. Asher Feldenary off to the left, Russ Munshank next to me, Paul Pila is in the back, and I think Mike Raid's right behind him, Steve Densmore. All these guys were really involved in HD Radio's rollout. Right behind Russ is Janet Pila, who does a good portion of the code work on the importer and the exporter for the system. So, these people are like family to me, and I've pretty much worked with them since 2000, and can't say everything went perfectly, but for the most part, it worked pretty well considering. And there's things I probably would do differently, knowing the total outcomes we've had. But HD's in about 60% of the vehicles on the road right now. That's not too bad of the best story.
We'll talk some more to that in a moment. I've had a few folks saying that a lot of the photos don't seem to be updating in the slide deck, so I've got them on a dedicated display. I don't know what that is. We're going to blame the GoToMeeting webinar interface for this one, but with obviously, like I said, first day with a new trial, we're going to have to sort out the bugs, like with the audio. So, this may be the thing that moves us straight over to Zoom or Teams or something like that, because it's been interesting today. Anyway, so you've been like quarter of a century with the same company now, which now various iterations of it, but the same basic chair. And I know Donna's been there almost as long as you, or as long. Close.
I think she's been there about 15 years now. Now, the true story
And
is
Donna can certainly, if you feel like unmuting your mic, join the conversation. You can put us both in our place.
Hey, gang.
Hey.
So yeah,
That's actually working. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I've been, as an employee, I've been at Xperi, BTS, Tessera, Ubiquity Digital, et cetera, for 10 years, and before freelance work as a contractor for the marketing department.
So and I see that there's a slide coming up. Jeff had sent the technology center PDF, and you're down there as the contact person for that. So that's the next question. Are you planning to retire too, or are you going to?
No. Jeff gets to retire. I get to put in a few more years, and my jobs aren't finished yet. There's a lot going on, and we've kept Jeff busy for the last 2 years writing content for the Technology Learning Center. So we couldn't let all this knowledge and all this wisdom go to waste. So I cracked the whip, and we've had a very busy writing documents. So anything you need to know, chances are, we've turned it into a document and how-to instructions, and just go to the Learning Center. And maybe you'll catch just a little bit of the information we've been able to develop.
I'd say I do have a slide coming up with that in a little bit with, and I added a few of my favorite Xperi and HD radio links as well. So that one will be kind of cool. And so Jeff, you've covered some ground in the past 25 years.
Probably more than I should have, and probably more than most people would let me. But,
sometimes it's easier just to beg forgiveness as you board the flight.
Yeah, I will say this. The company of that is now Xperi has, in my opinion, always wanted to do the right things for the industry. Now, you could argue whether we did, but it always wanted to do the best it could for the broadcast industry and promote over-the-air broadcast before anything else. And, we all appreciate that streaming has become very important, but, one of our key principles has always been maintain the value of the broadcast facility. And even through DTS AutoStage, which is the IP connected technology that our company offers as well, and it's free to the broadcaster, unlike everything else we have done. But it is free for the broadcaster, and it enables them to deliver a higher quality product, not only on the digital signal, but also in the analog. So it really tries to elevate the entire broadcast medium, and allowing images, metadata, and a better user experience where you're going across the dial. The intent was to present a technology that looks better to the auto industry so that they keep radio in the dashboard front and center. And so you can argue whether we should charge for what we do. The reality is, I think we really do have the interests of the industry at heart. And I'm saying that in my retirement waiting days here. I really do feel that that's the intent. Now, whether it comes across that way or not, I'm sure there's a mixed batch of views out there, but we always tried to do the right thing.
Right. And I mean, looking at the attendee list, I see folks from commercial, non-commercial, big groups, little groups, retired, a couple of independents. So we've got the full gamut, and we'll have opinions to match. And I think my one, I guess, guiding statement over everything is the folks will ask, and I've got that coming up in a bit too, because there was a recent conversation about it. But if you've got something to provide, it gives you the tools to do it well. If you don't have anything of value to put on the air, then don't waste the time or the effort. But some would argue, if you don't have anything of value to put on the air, why are you in radio to begin with? Anyway, so the Technology Learning Center. I did, for the folks that don't speak QR codes, the top link is where the QR code takes you. The middle one is the engineering support page, and that one is also really useful. And for the folks that are running HD and want to, I know our HD multicast, and I believe the latest iteration of the Gates Air FMX. I apologize if I got the model number wrong. Obviously, I don't work for them, but I believe they do station logo as well. And the logo verify site is critical, because not only is it important to get the site or your logo the right size and the right constitution, the right format, you've also got to name it a specific way, and logo verify helps with that. So Jeff, what did I miss? What are the other big things that you think are useful? And I know it's a long list and a short conversation.
I just had fun putting together probably another 100 questions or so for the SBE HD radio digital radio certification program. And
you reminded me I've got to send in my form for NAB. Thank you.
But so we really used our own database to generate a lot of those questions for that. So it's a great training resource, and perhaps even I think that's open book test, as I recall. So you probably can even use the site as a resource during that. The other stuff, let's see. Well, you know, over the years we've tried to innovate. You know, going back to the early days of HD, it was basically one exciter that just created the digital signal. And you know, if there were things that I wish we had done differently, I would have gone back to that and tried to make it more of a monolithic structure, where you know the analog, the digital, and all of the advanced services were built into one platform. But you know, the way it evolved, the acquisition of different groups over the years brought different skill sets that came in. The guys from Command Audio became the developers of the importer. And actually, that's where I met Brian. I think Brian was at Command Audio at that time. And so we've had a number of groups that have merged into us. Lucent Digital Radio, all of the USA Digital Radio folks. We really try to take the best of every piece and put it together in such a way that the technology could evolve. And so, you know, if you looked at the Generation 1 platform, I think it had 32 Shark boards in the thing, and it was crazy. You know, we'd ship an engineer out to the trade show with each box just to make sure we could get it to run on the floor. But by the time we got to the second generation, where it was a Linux-based platform, things solidified real well. And we all remember the codec wars between HDC and PAC, and the folks at National Public Radio allowed us to have a shootout in the studio there in front of all of the engineering community, and we moved forward with HDC. That was a great move for the technology, and now we're kind of heading into the direction of the next generation platform, where we're trying to move this on to ARM and in a low cost form, something around a Comp5 module. As you guys have done a great job in virtualizing the importer and the exporter and the extern function, we also think it's important to have a hardware backup, that when you do put everything out on the cloud, it's great to have a low cost backup. Certainly in the GV series transmitters, you're doing that with the processor that's already in there to run everything else. So, you know, it was a great move from my perspective on integrating all of that into the transmitter and giving yourself that capability, because it certainly gives a price performance advantage.
Well, and so it's like you, and the funny thing for the folks watching at home, this slide deck got built this morning. Jeff hasn't seen it, but he's leading me perfectly. So, so like I said, a week and a half ago, I was over at Bob Goff's station in central Wisconsin, and we did the first time I've ever done this. So for me, it was kind of cool to be able to pick up the tools again. But by the way, for the folks that can't see the photos, and I know there are a lot of comments on how this platform is doing the screen sharing. By all means, I will we'll make it a point to get y'all a follow up with the PDF copy of the slide deck, because there are, especially on the HD stuff, some useful things in there. But the cool thing about this was I walked in, and I'm used to an HD upgrade taking a while. Even if the customer is fully prepared and got everything ready, you know, you have to shut it down, you have to plug in the importer, you have to do all the configuration. You usually allow for a full day. Well, this particular one, we shut down the transmitter and put the standby on at 2:15 p.m. And at 6 p.m., we were on the air and deciding where we were going to go for dinner. And of that, the actual upgrade was roughly 20 minutes to pull the controller, swap out the SSD, the solid state hard drive, and or solid state drive, there's no H, but and then put it back in. The rest of the time was just configuring license keys and various configurations relating to the HD aspect, most of which in a factory configured system would already been done. But yeah, absolutely, it's kind of cool, because I remember, like you said, back to the very first Gen 1 stuff, RNE, IBOC, BE, the Xperi 10, I think. And again, I'm going back so far that I don't remember anybody else's models. But I mean, that stuff was a lot of complicated pieces, a lot of moving parts, right down to the CD-ROM drive. And things went sideways. It was almost always due to a moving part failure. And for it to be so virtualized now, and like this one is fully installed in the transmitter, there's absolutely no need of an outside connection except for the clock signal that it requires to maintain the license monitors. So yeah, it is kind of cool like that. And I mean, we moved, let's see, with that install, well, that one we only removed 4 or 5 boxes, but you can pull like 7 different boxes out of the chain, so it's pretty cool.
And look at that out-of-band emission performance. Wow. Looks good.
And that was with me not turning the optimizer on. That was just out of the box. And the averaging's not fully kicked in. I just grabbed the picture and said, let's go grab a beer and dinner. Not specifying any importance or priority there. That's just the way they came out. So the reason I put that bottom post, that hit the Broadcast Engineers Facebook page about an hour before we went live. So the question is still being asked, and the cool thing is Shane Tobin was one of the first to answer, and he made the comment that you made earlier, that 60% of manufacturers or cars are rolling out with HD. I know my that picture on the left is WCWI's station logo on the dash in my rental. I had a Hyundai.
So yeah, I think if I go back to like 2022, it was around 59%. And Q in the latest report that they just did, they were reporting in 2025 66 to 67%. So I guess they're seeing some variation in that. But so there's a pretty good percentage of the vehicles on the road today that support the technology, and they were particularly focused on the visual aspects too, because that's their business. And
let's see, Bob. Sorry, go.
Well, I was just going to say, I think, from a receiver perspective, early on, when the technology was a little more costly to implement on the receive side, when there were modules that were added rather than just chipsets built in on the motherboard, you had manufacturers who would pick and choose what product lines they were bringing them to. You can still find it in some of the high-end AV receivers. There are tabletops from Sanjid that are great products. I really do like. I've got a little Sanjid HD 11, I think it is. It's a fabulous radio. So there are radios out there. If you're going into Best Buy, my first question to you is, how much shelf space is there for radio, period? Much less whether a digital radio. So I think, let's be fair. A lot of people are listening to radio on stream these days. For those who do still want off-the-air reception, there are models available.
Yep. Now I'm going to, let's see, I see Bob Goff, and I know we've been chatting in questions. Bob, if you got a mic, can you unmute? Because I'm going to put you on the spot since this is your station we're talking about.
I am here if you can hear me.
Oh, wow, you actually sound better than I do.
Well, that's why I'm in my production room / office.
Of course,
using my board
Bob's also a
get on the
real
air.
radio guy. I just play one on the air. But so what was the big reason for y'all lighting up the HD? And I know you're also one of the early adopters of our test drive program as well. But what was the concept behind that? Besides, I know you've got your Buck, your country format on the HD2.
Yeah, on our HD2, it's a combination red dirt country, classic country format that we're rolling right now. Actually, I already have advertisers on it, believe it or not. And the whole reason for doing this was because we were searching for more stations for us to put something like that country format on, and nobody around here was selling. And we didn't want to have something that was, we found some stations that were like in northern Wisconsin and stuff like that. But I mean, that's a couple 100 miles away from where we're sitting in the center of the state. And we didn't want to have that type of, a travel for us to be separated. We wanted to be something nearby. There's a couple of stations we were wishing nearby that would sell to us, but they said no. So my suggestion was, why don't we look at HD? It's going to cost us as much to go to HD as it would be to buy another station in the area. So let's just give it a shot. So I convinced my owner, Marcus, to look into it. He looked into it, crunched the numbers, and said, let's do it.
So now that you've had this on for a whole whopping, let's see, it's been 9 days since I left. First takes, what do you think so far? And by the way, before you answer that, Cole had asked, because the video is kind of discombobulated, but the question that I've got posted on the screen is from a set of Broadcast Engineers Forum post on Facebook. And it says, can anybody tell me what percentage of radios out there actually get HD today, and is it actually worth converting from FM to HD? So I guess you're probably going to answer the question in the process of telling me what your hot take is after 9 days.
Yeah, well, we know for a fact the big thing about the area that we live in is that we have a whole lot of people that have retired here from Chicago, Madison, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, and elsewhere. So they bought their vehicles in larger cities that already have car radios with HD into them. So that's one of the things we're targeting for. We know that there are HD radios driving around out here. And as far as selling them, we actually ordered in a few cases of some Sanjian tabletop HD radios. And we've given some away, but we are going to turn around and we are going to sell some right from the station studios as well. But we're selling them at cost. We're not going to make any dollar on them at all. We just want to get it out there and get people trained that if they want to hear it over the air and get it the way you should hear it, here's the radio. And we know there's others out there that you can buy. I know Sanjian has a whole bunch. There's a couple of other companies, CC Crane and all that, that you can get them from. And we're hoping to just start turning people on to, hey, we've got this. We're going to have a third channel coming up probably in March that's going to be an all Polish language station, 24 hours a day, because we have a huge community of people from Poland and Eastern Europe that have settled in this area as well. So we're going to turn that over to them, and we've got a fourth opportunity, and I'm trying to convince them to go all sports because we don't have any of that around here. But that's just me.
So for you guys, it very much was you already had the program, and this gave you a place to put it.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. A place to put it, and to put it in as much as it would have cost us to purchase the station, if not way less than it would have cost us to purchase the station elsewhere. So
And
that's why we looked at the HD.
For us, I mean, we've got a whopping 1 HD station in Halifax at the moment, but the cool thing is I discovered that my 2018 Silverado has an HD receiver in it, and so does my wife's 2017 Mini. So the receivers.
I have two Minis that both have HD radios in them as well. Unfortunately, my go-to work car, my Equinox, does not have an HD radio, and it's not capable of putting one in either, believe it or not. So
I wish you had mentioned that. I've got one of the, and Jeff, you'll remember this, back in the early days of HD. Don't remember if it was Ubiquity at that point, if it was still USADR, but a lot of the public stations were giving away directed front end units. I've got one of those in a closet, Bob. So next time in Wisconsin, I'll try to remember to bring it to you.
Well, I do have two pocket HD radios. The big red one that Radio Inc. put out a few years ago, if you remember that. I have one of those, and then a couple of years later, before Best Buy got rid of it, I went and bought one of the Pocket Infinity, I think is their brand, or can't remember, something like that. But anyway, I've got one of those as well. And so I've been using that to listen to the station as I go around just with a little earbud in my ear. So.
Oh, there you go. And then, well, we get that earbud out of your ear so you can listen for traffic and important. And I mean, traffic is not a big concern where you live, but anyway.
The weather is.
Mr. Detweiler, those directed front ends, how did those, I mean, basically it was just like a remodulator, right?
Yeah. It had an FM modulator, and you could bring it in on a channel, or they also had an audio output. If you had an aux input on your radio, you could select the aux in.
Right. And see, Alan Jurison, that's Insignia was that model you were looking for, Bob. But thank you very much for that. All right, back to the topic at hand, and we're running, of course, as always, and especially with the late start, the top of the hour is only a suggestion for us. We do not have to hit the clock or the post or anything like that. But so we brought Donna on briefly earlier, and I may or may not have. So you sent me a picture. I hoped you cleared it with her before you sent it to me, because it's coming up on the next slide.
Oh my.
But then I very cheerfully raided your Facebook page for a couple of others, and y'all run strong to boys in your family.
We do.
As far as your kids. And I know for me, first marriage, well, no, I guess, yeah, boys for me too. But yeah, so what would you say, how do I put this? I guess the best way to put it, when I go, I tend not to travel November, December, January. And I mean, that's gone away a little since I've started covering the eastern half of the US. But I know usually by about the end of January, early February, my wife will look at her watch and look at me and look at her watch and look at me and go, isn't it about time you went somewhere? So what are your plans for reconciling to not going anywhere? Of course, you work from home now anyway, mostly, right?
Well, we're in the office 3 days a week at this point. And so for poor Donna, she has to put up with me at either end, in the office or in the home.
So the office is going to be her escape now, is what you're saying.
I think that's probably true. I'll let her speak for that, but you know, she has to put up with me 24/7, and you know, I think probably the main reason we've been able to survive 40 years is the fact that we share so much in common from the standpoint of the industry. You know, working together, we literally have worked together from pretty much the time we met each other, and you know, there's nobody as a mentor that I value more than her, and she's fabulous, and she's definitely the better half of the equation. And
I see she unmuted.
I appreciate everything
point.
she's done for me, and I'm sure anybody who knows her agrees with that. But anyway, the bottom line is it's been a fun run, and I hope to continue in some consulting capacities going forward with the industry, and I may even be out at NAB this year. Who knows? I'll get out there one more time, and
you do that, and I know we have a big old question mark by the HD radio session for the afternoon at Nugs, so we may have to find something for you to do if you let me know. Donna, so what are your comments on having him home?
This has been a great run in the broadcast industry. It's a fun industry. If you're not in the thick of it, if you're not in the station end of things or working with the broadcasters, I think you just don't get it, or you won't believe really what it is under the hood at radio stations. And it's not just a job. It really is all part of your life and lifestyle. And some of the amazing people that we've met over the years and become friends with, we've shared each other's births of grandchildren and kids, and but it's a family, and it's a weird industry, and there's a whole bunch of crazy misfits, but love each and every one of you guys. You're special.
Like I say, this industry puts the fun in dysfunctional.
Yes, it does.
Donna's the only other one who knows the expression, "Where the hell's Charlie Wooten?" So
yep. That's almost a meme right now. Oh, by the way, Donna, Elaine says tell you you're supposed to age because you look as wonderful as today.
That's why I love her.
And Elaine has the dubious distinction of being one of about half a dozen industry folks that have ended up sitting on our deck doing adult beverages on occasion. And it's a long way from the warm country. Anyway, so folks, I think that in a nutshell was pretty much a pile of resources, mandatory stuff. I don't want to keep too much of your time, but Donna, what is the plan to keep this guy busy? Are you going to have him writing more stuff for the technology page?
Well, I think as people request different topics and where we see needing help in the industry for whether it's configuration, installation, you name it, Jeff has a broad base of knowledge from HD Radio 101 to, gee, what's it doing now? Let's go. We need to figure out why it's doing that. And we're going to definitely leverage all that knowledge. And you need to relax a bit. I mean, I've got a to-do list about 4 miles long. I think there's 2 or 3 spreadsheets and a Gantt chart or 2 as far as a timeline goes. But I think just spend some time with family. You consult in the industry. Come up with some interesting projects for them, guys. I mean, there's a lot going on out there. Capture the knowledge while we can, and just enjoy retirement because it's a very cool thing.
Very much. I told somebody, I said, yeah.
While I still remember it, we're going to try to extract it.
Well, as you try to forget and fill with other cool stuff.
I told somebody, I said, I've got about a 10-10 warranty. If it happened less than 10 minutes ago or more than 10 years ago, I can probably remember it. That middle area, pretty gray. So
yeah, that's about 2 years ago. We figured we needed to start documenting all of this, and so we began that effort in earnest, and it will continue. And I'm sure we'll be adding to it all. But thanks for the opportunity to reminisce.
Well, you're welcome, and I'm going to end it, and I hadn't forgotten it, but Elaine, just in the registration or in the registration questions, and what was the craziest thing that happened to you during your career? And I'm thinking the balloon launch was going to be up there, but anything else come to mind?
Well, I mean, there were a number of events that occurred at NAB and CES where people got locked on the roof while we were setting up antennas and things like that. So there were lots of fun stuff like that. I won't cite anyone. Anyway,
there may or may not be a picture of me locked in a stairwell at the IDS building in Minneapolis, so I fully understand that one. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you very, very much. I hope you do enjoy retirement and don't drive Donna too terribly crazy, because we need to keep her around for a few more years. But hoping that we'll see you in Vegas for NAB.
I'm hoping as well, and thank you again. It was too kind of you to even offer this, much less actually do it. And I'm sorry about the technical challenges on our end here, but
hey, it's always fun when I get to use the line, "Is there an engineer in the house?" So, all right. Well, folks, I thank you very much. Jeff, Donna, thank you guys very much for your time as well, and we will talk to you all later. So, again, this is an Nautel TTT. Good to be back. Hopefully next month we'll have it a little smoother, both on the screen sharing end and on the audio visual end. And we'll talk to you all next time. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Thank you.